how we as educators and researchers will take advantage of to transform our research work, our teaching, and our work. And so this is a very important topic of which we are going to have a number of at least 7 presentations in this area to educate us more and also to contribute to the wave that is sweeping everywhere in the world. I will just make 1 or 2 remarks, and then I will invite the presenters one after the other. Artificial intelligence, as we have discussed this morning from the keynote speaker, is a tool that cannot be overlooked, especially as a researcher and also as an educator. And I am happy that we are joining the contributions that the globe is making towards artificial intelligence. Perhaps we are not developers, but at least we are also looking at its applications to our lives and how it could also help others in their endeavors. And so I would ask every participant here in this workshop to pay apt attention, not just to sit and listen, but also to be part of the contributions that we are making to the field of artificial intelligence. And also to take home something that will spark a whole research ideology in you, will give or will resource you with tools that will make your research work take a new turn. So that is how we should see everything that we are doing here. More so, presenters, you are here to present an idea, a research contribution. Have open mind towards whatever you are presenting. What you are presenting is deemed not the final work. It is deemed as a work still ongoing. And the essence of conference is to bring an ongoing work to the table for all the scientific or the members of the scientific community gathered to interrogate it and to proffer suggestions and recommendations to better your work. That is why we are here. We are not here to show how deep we are in research and how somebody is wrong and you are right, and this one did it well and this one didn't do it well, he doesn't know. So let's have the right mindset. The mindset is that we are researchers. As a team, we are all working and contributing. And so your little contribution you have, please make it available and give constructive critiquing and not criticization. Don't criticize, but critique. And when you critique, we expect that you profile valuable suggestions if you have. If you don't have, no problem. You can still critique. That is the academic exercise we are going to do for the next 1.5 hours that we are going to be here. So I believe you are going to support me to make this session a memorable one, very impactful, so that we will take home with a lot of tools and ideas to better our research. Thank you very much. On that, I will invite, when I did the roll call for those who are presenting, Abdulrazak wasn't around. I don't know whether Abdulrazak is in now. Okay, Abdulrazak is still not here, so I will invite Alfred J.C. Bano. You have 10 minutes. I'll need a timekeeper. Would you be okay? Who? Let me get a timekeeper. Please use the set up a timer for me. So as exactly 10 minutes, wherever you have gotten to, you stop. Or you wrap up within seconds. And then we will begin the discussion. So that is how we are going to do it. Are you ready? Okay, let the timer, let's be sure that the timer and everything is set, then we can go. And after every presentation, we will have short discussions. And so be jotting down your notes. Or we will finish everything. Okay, that, yes, so that we'll be able to beat time. Thank you. All right. So we will do that. So be jotting down your points. You jot down the topic and the presenter so that you don't forget who said what. So that when it gets to the discussion, it will be easier for us. Thank you very much, Mr. Bano. All the best.
Thank you, Prof. Okay, my name is Alfred Jesbano, and this is a study I conducted. The title is University Students' Continuous Use Intentions of Gen AI in the Face of Ethics and Regulations. And here, I examine the mediating role of training in the technology organization environment perspective. So, we all know the transformative potential of AI, but normally we talk about the good side and we don't look at the other side. And there have been concerns about AI, its limitations and weaknesses. And these concerns always are raised in relation to authenticity, originality, and integrity in Gen AI use. We thank God our university is embracing AI. But 3 years ago, when ChatGPT was launched, the University of Hong Kong, they banned ChatGPT straight away. They didn't even, like what we are doing here, organizing conferences about AI. They banned it straight away, all because of these concerns. Now, because of these concerns, there have been pressure, scholarly pressure mounting. Researchers are recommending that higher education institutions put forward ethical and regulatory frameworks to manage the use of AI. But when we come to the sub-Saharan African context and in the broader global south are countries like Africa, because we have prematurely been using AI, we don't look at the ethical and regulatory aspects of AI use. So we have a gap. So because of these things, now this year we published one paper about the effect of ethics, regulations, and training on AI. And the paper is started the Bano et al. 2025. And that is the only study in the SSA that focused on continuous use intentions of university students when we have ethics, regulations, and training put in place. And therefore, there is a gap. There is a gap we need to fill when we are talking about the usage intentions of AI among university students. So for this purpose, for this reason, I report on a study that investigated how university students might continue using Gen AI if ethics and regulations are implemented, and how training can also be a factor in this process. And this study has significance. One of them is to inform decisions about targeted training for AI policy implementation. The second one is to support ethical, regulated, and informed AI integration in the academia. Okay, so this is the literature review. when you look at the technology organization environment framework, it is all about what factors may influence an organization's use of technology. And higher education institutions can also be, in analogy, can also be what? Organizations. So if we study adoption of AI in the TOE context, then we have a support, a theoretical support. So in the TOE, okay. So in the TOE, we can regulations can be one of the environmental factors. And it has support in recent literature. But when we look at the studies existing, most of them focus on the effect of government regulations on citizens' initial adoption intentions, but not on initial or continuous adoption in HE context, that's higher education context. And we can also see a gap here. But also, when you come to the sub-Saharan African context, only one study exists, as I have already told you, and this study is the study by Bano et al., 2025. But remember, results of a single study is inadequate, and we cannot consider the results of one study and make broader conclusions. Therefore, there's the need for further study. The same thing applies to ethics. And ethics can also be one of the components of the environmental context of the TOE. Though ethics have been studied to have positive effects on initial and continuous adoption, but most of the studies were conducted outside the SSA, except that of Bano, which considered university students in Ghana and found positive results. So training can also be an organizational component of the TOE. And in the TOE, training is one of the factors that ensures or focuses on capacity building. Training has been studied to have both significant and insignificant effects on adoption intentions of technology. Meanwhile, in the SSA, only one study focused on the effects of training in this context, and the results were insignificant. And remember, insignificant results, you cannot make conclusions about, they are inconclusive. So there's the need for further study. So looking at the literature, two main gaps can be seen. One of them is this: the role of training in how regulations might affect AI continuous use is not entirely studied in the SSA. The other gap is there is scarce empirical evidence about how training might translate the effect of ethics into continuous use intentions. In fact, in this study, we define continuous use intentions as sustained or long-term use. And the main purpose of this study is to look at if students will continue to use Gen AI, even if ethics and regulations are put forward. So that's the purpose of the study. Okay, so these are the objectives of the study and the hypothesis. The first objective is to investigate the mediated effect, as I was talking about. And the second objective, the mediated effect of training between regulations and continuous use intentions. The second objective also focused on the mediating effect of ethics between continuous use intentions and regulations. And these are the hypotheses of the study. So in this study, we have only two hypotheses. And this is the conceptual framework of the study. So we have the indirect paths are the dotted lines, and the direct paths are the deep lines. Okay, this is the methodology. The study was an online survey, and we used adapted skills. We didn't design our own skills. We solved them from existing literature. And we designed questionnaires using Google Forms, and we use convenience sampling to draw participants. And the participants were 385 university students. And the data analysis technique was SEM, structural equation modeling. Now, these are the limitations of the methodology we adopted. Samples were not drawn from diverse HE settings, making it impossible for comparisons. Then we also have students who were absent on WhatsApp platforms. They couldn't participate. Cross-sectional survey focused on perceptions, and there was no practical insights provided. Participants came from only one university, limiting generalizability. And these are the results of the study. So we have the indirect effects, we have the direct effects. We also have bias-corrected confidence interval that we constructed to test the significance of the mediating effect. And when you look at the bias-corrected confidence interval, you can see that there's no zero. And since there's no zero, we can support the first hypothesis that there's a positive mediating effect of training between regulations and continuous use intentions. And looking at the BCI of the second hypothesis, you can also see that there's no zero.
Time up.
Okay. Time up. So this is the empirical model of the study, and these are the discussion, conclusion, and recommendations. Thank you.
All right, thank you. You may sit. Take your seat. We will have discussion on this presentation when we are done with all the presentations. Please, as he is presenting, if you are coming to present, you take cues from it, time management and other things. Thank you. The next person is Bismarck Tay. Yes. So let's receive him with an applause.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, all protocols duly observed. I'm Bismarck Tekwesi, MPhil Accounting, Year 2. And the topic for discussion is artificial intelligence application and its impact on accounting information quality. This is the presentation outline. We all know that the heart of every business lies on its finances. And to make strategic and informed decisions, you need to rely on the financial statements of such institution or such an entity, of which the financial statements must not be just any statement, but it must possess some qualities. That's the qualitative characteristics of what? A useful financial information. As stated in the company's code, that's the Companies Act, Section 127, subsection 1 of the Companies Act 2019, as amended at 992. It talks about keeping proper accounting record. And the subsection 5 also talks about the presentation of financial statement, which aligns with the International Accounting Standard 1 presentation of financial statement. Many firms, in trying to address this, trying to produce these financial statements, as and when they are needed, they face certain challenges. Sometimes there are data inconsistencies, there are errors that occur in keeping their records. Once there is an error in your record keeping, it will affect your financial statement that you produce at the end of the day. So this study want to investigate into how the use of artificial intelligence can impact or will have any positive effect on the quality of accounting information. The study therefore poses the question that what impact does artificial intelligence in its four dimensions, that is expert system, machine learning, neural networks, and algorithm, have on artificial, or that have on what accounting information, that's on its relevance, its representational faithfulness, and its verifiability. And the study therefore hypothesizes that artificial intelligence in all its dimension does not have any significant impact on accounting information quality. The study adopted a descriptive analytical approach. The population used was 37 listed firms on the Ghana Stock Exchange for the 2024 financial year. Data was gathered from professionals, which are accountants, which are members of the Institute of Chartered Accountants Ghana, finance experts, analysts, and IT experts who also helped in regulating these systems. The tool used was a 500-point legacy questionnaire adapted. A descriptive statistics correlation was run using Stata. And to test the reliability, we ran Chromebook Alpha. And all our results shows that the variables or the dimensions of AI and its dimensions have a Chromebook Alpha value above the 0.7 acceptable degree. So here are our results. From the chart, the alpha column, you can see that all the alpha values for artificial intelligence, expert system, machine learning, neural network, algorithm, accounting information quality, all of them are above the 0.7 threshold. Our findings reveal that artificial intelligence application or adoption significantly improve accounting information quality, which are now the hypothesis that says that artificial intelligence does not have any effect on accounting information quality. AI, that's artificial intelligence, explains 11.3% changes in accounting information quality. Expert system also explain 22.4% changes in what? Accounting information quality. Machine learning also explain 10% changes in accounting information quality. Also, algorithm also explains 9.4% changes in what? Accounting information quality. Whereas neural network show no significant contribution to any change in what? Accounting information. The study shows that artificial intelligence technology significantly what? Enhances or improves the quality of accounting information in all its dimensions, with the exception of neural networks, which does not show any significant effect, which might be due to the infrastructure, limited infrastructure, or challenges in implementation, or the skills needed to implement this kind of technology. The study therefore supports the SDG 9, Industry, Innovation and Infrastructure, SDG 8, Decent Work and Economic Growth, and SDG 16, Peace, Justice and Strong Institution. So the study in its entirety support SDG by what? Advancing AI-driven innovation in accounting, improving financial governance, and strengthening institutional transparency in the Ghanaian industrial firms. Here are the key takeaways. So we can find out that AI boosts the relevance of accounting information. Well, if it is not relevant, it will not meet the need of the intended user. Timeliness. The producing of financial statements must be produced within certain time so that its intended use will be met. And then verifiability. For the data should be able to be what? To determine their source and as and when they occur. The successful implementation of what? The artificial intelligence would depend on the infrastructure of the institution in question. The skills of the staffs, if the staff are trained and they have the needed skills needed to implement this technology. And a clear policy guidelines that will regulate the use so that the systems will not be abused. The contribution of the study. This is the first of its kind in Ghana here that studies the artificial intelligence on accounting information quality in the industrial firms in Ghana. So it provides empirical evidence on how AI technology affects accounting information quality in the Ghanaian industrial firms. And then it will guide policymakers and practitioners as well as academicians in making informed decisions on the use of AI and AI governance. Practical implications. Firms can use AI to improve the accuracy and the reliability of their financial reporting. Because if your financial report is not accurate, then what you are putting out is jargons. It's just a piece of trash. AI enables real-time fraud detection. Because it will help the auditors to determine or to detect any anomalies that will be in the financial statement and enhance the regulatory compliance. So the study therefore recommends that firms should invest in the training of their staffs on AI. There should be clear governance frameworks for ethical use and data protection. Also, there should be collaboration among academia, industry, and regulators in order to implement this successfully. There should also develop a local empirical benchmarks and adoption roadmaps so that everybody will do the right thing. Further studies should also be conducted in long-term effect and cross-sectional from sector to sector, different sectors, so that we'll see how this will help us in a way forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's do it better for him. Good. I hope you are putting down your notes. We will come back and interrogate some of the things that they have presented. Now move on to the next person. Okay, Daniel Amo wasn't here when we were starting. Is Daniel Amo here? Okay. So let's receive Daniel Amo's presentation.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and thank you all for being here. My name is Daniel Amo, and I'm presenting on the use of calcium carbide waste and palm kernel shells as partial replacement for cement and coarse aggregate in lightweight concrete. As we all know, there's a high demand for housing all over the world, especially in Ghana, because of the ever-increasing population. And as such, we are depleting our natural resources, especially the raw materials for the production of cement and also for the coarse aggregate. There's therefore the need to integrate more sustainable materials into production of concrete. sorry, excuse me. Let me wear my glass. I've not seen it well. Yes. Thank you very much. So the presentation will follow this outline, and as I've indicated, there's the need to integrate a new material into the production of concrete. And two of such materials that have emerged is calcium carbide waste and palm kernel shells. These materials are just being wasted. The operatives in this industry just throw it anywhere or anyhow, but it can be used for a more useful activity, that is in the production of lightweight concrete material. Carbide waste are being discarded into the environment without having a thought about the waste or the waste or its effect on the environment. Again, the CCW and PKS in its concrete production presents a dual advantage. The dual advantage is that it reduces cost and it also improves the environment, because when it's useful, we'll not just throw it to affect the environment. The disposal, the problem is that these materials or waste materials are abound, but we are just wasting it without thinking about it. If you go to where they produce palm oil and all that, you see how it's being disposed. And there are interim damage that are caused during the extraction of raw materials for cement productions. So if we're able to limit the use of cement in concrete production, I think we'll be doing ourselves good. And we all know the high cost of cement in recent times. So if we are able to at least reduce the use or the dependence of cement production, the use of cement in concrete production, it will help. There's been previous studies on the use of CCW, calcium carbide waste, and PKS. If we look at the study conducted by Danso and Piaget, they use various sizes of PKS for the production of concrete. And the finding was that the PKS concrete satisfied the requirements of a lightweight concrete material. However, they used various sizes of concrete PKS. But in this study, only 12 mm PKS was used in addition with the CCW. Similarly, another study that was conducted on CCW as partial replacement for stone dust hot mix also revealed that it contains 51.5 nano calcium oxide, that is the chemical component. The gap is that it was only identified, the chemical component was only identified, it was not used in concrete production, but this study is integrating it into concrete production. And then another study also conducted indicated that the CCW can be used or adapted as a binder, but it was not used. Here we are using it in real time. The aim is to sort of investigate into the properties of concrete produced with CCW and PKS. And the objective is to determine the physical properties, that is one, and then to investigate the mechanical properties, and then the third one to investigate the durability, that is the abrasion of the concrete. And this is the material and the methods. If you look at it, it all meets the international standard. The selection meets the international standards. The PKS was acquired locally. Both the PKS and CCW were acquired locally and was treated. In fact, in all, we had 150 samples which we used for the tests based on the curing days and the percentage of CCW used. Let me indicate here that we had a varied we varied the CCW from 5% to 20%, but the PKS was constant, 5% constant in the production of the concrete. So that is the summary of the selection. And then the test also met the international standard. That's the density, water absorption, compressive strength, and then the split tensile strength. So if we look at the results, we found out that even though we use different percentage of CCW, if you look at the curing days, 7, we found out that the 5% and 10% introduction of the CCW the density was within the acceptable range, which is from 1,797.18. And as compared to the previous studies conducted by Danso and Apiaje and others, they had it from 1,700 to 2,000. So it means that the use of 5% and 10% CCW met the standard or the density requirements, especially if you look at the 28 curing day. We had 1,759 and as against the 1,808.47 with the control. With the water absorption, the 5% and 10% introduction of the CCW was within the acceptable standard, though it was slightly higher than the control, which was 1.56, but it was still within the high range of the acceptable range, which is 1.82 and 2.0 on the 28-day curing stage. On the comprehensive strength, we found out that the 5% and 10% introduction of the CCW was even higher than the control, which is the normal mix ratio, the cement mix ratio. If you look at all the curing days, the 7, 11.59, the 14, 13.5, as against 14.24 on the 5% introduction and 13.98 of the introduction of the CCW. So we found out that the introduction of 5% and 10% was performing even better than the control. So if we look at the descriptive statistics, we found out that the analysis, which revealed that the acceptable range should be 0.50, the in-between treatment value was 0.003, which was within the acceptable range. So it means that we can comfortably or conveniently use or introduce the CCW and PKS to produce the concrete. Again, under compressive strength, if you look at the values, then we had the comparison, the 5% versus 20%, 5% versus 15%, 5% versus 0%, which is the control. They were all within the acceptable range, below the p-value of 0.50. The rest were insignificant. That's why we have the no there. Then on the split tensile strength, we look at the values here. We found out that the 5% introduction and 10% introduction of the CCW performed better. If we compare the carrying the 7 of the control, it was 1.19 as against the same carrying the 5% introduction of the CCW, 1.23. On the 28-day curing day, we had the control 1.74 as against 1.93 for the 5% introduction. So it means that even though at the end we settled on the 5%, but both 5% and 10% performed better.
Time is up.
Yeah. So these are the values, and we had the abrasion results, and then the conclusion. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Let's give it to him again. All right. The next presenter is Andrew Tay. Is Andrew Tay here? Andrew, okay. We'll finish very soon, then we'll start the discussions on the various presentations. All the best.
Good afternoon to you all. My name is Andrews Ayete, and I present to you a research on the topic, the potential of the rabbit droppings, pulverized rabbit droppings, as a soil stabilizer in compressed earth block. Compressed earth block is known to be an available material in every community, and it is used in every community. In fact, we all grew to meet earth blocks in our villages, and it has a challenge. The challenge it has is the fact that it has a challenge of being poor resistant to water. In the presence of water, the earth building will have challenges. And so various ways have been researched in reinforcing or strengthening it to resist water activities, including waste, animal waste, and the use of the cow dung have been researched and successful in that. The use of the donkey dung has also been done. And in these days where we are talking about sustainability and cost, we have observed that the rabbit is a very rabbit production is becoming very popular in Ghana because it is very prolific. And being prolific, it is growing. And people have found it as a very profitable business. In view of that, its droppings too, if we don't look for alternative ways of using it, it may become a sanitation challenge in the near future. That is why this research has been done, so that we could look at the potential of being used as a stabilizer in the earth block. Materials that were used. The research was done in the construction lab of Amstead here. And laterite was harvested from a burrow pit on the campus and was dried for 1 day in the sun. In the course of the drying, lamps were broken, and then fresh rabbit droppings were also harvested or harnessed from farms, that is, rabbit farms. They were also dried for 3 days. In the course of the drying, solid waste were hand-picked, and then those waste that could not be picked, a 5 mm mesh was used to sieve so that those waste could also be eliminated. And then after the drying, it was taken to the lab, crushed, and sieved through a 2 mm sieve, and then the powder or the pulverized form was mixed with the laterite in various percentages. We have 0% being the control, 2.5%, 5%, up to 15%. The blocks were dried for up to 56 days. But testings were done on 14 days, 21 days, 28 days, and then the 56 days. This is the blocks being dried in room temperature. This is the drying process of the rabbit droppings, where impurities were taken out. And then on the right side, we have sample of the laterite used, and then the pulverized form of the rabbit dropping. Compressive strength tests were done. Compressive strength test, the tensile test, we did the drip water test, and then absorption tests were done on the blocks. Also, the SEM analysis test was also conducted at the UMAT lab in Takwa. The data obtained were analyzed using the one-way ANOVA component of the GenStat statistical software, the 15th edition. The results, particle size analysis, showed that the laterite was mainly in the gravel and sand region. That is about 60% being gravel and 39% being sand. And then the rabbit droppings too, it was largely in the sandy bracket. About 92% were in the sandy bracket. This, on the right side, so on the left side we have the particle size distribution of the two materials. And then on the right side we have the compaction test results on the rabbit droppings. This is the result of the compressive strength test on the blocks. And from the chart, we could see that blocks from the 5% inclusion have shown superior performance in the compressive strength. And so from the control, the compressive strength increases up to 5%. And then after the 5% inclusion, the compressive strength starts to reduce. The same trend was seen in the tensile strength. Then we come to the water absorption. Absorption was also reduced totally in the 5% inclusion. It was 2.7 as compared to the 5.09% in the control. This is about 86% reduction in water absorption in the block with 5% inclusion. The block sampled with 5% pulverized rabbit dropping inclusion recorded the highest tensile strength of 0.215 Newton per millimeter square with 17.5% strength gain over the control. The water absorption test of the CEV samples were also showed the lowest, that is 2.7. And in comparing it with the control, there was about 86% reduction in absorption of water. Then in the drip test shows whether erosion will take place on the material. And the control saw 7.5 millimeter erosion. The 2.5 also saw 3.5 millimeter erosion. Above this, there was no erosion at all on the other inclusion rates. The same results also show that the blocks were denser as compared to just the raw rabbit droppings. Conclusion. We hereby conclude that the pulverized rabbit dropping inclusion in soil as a soil stabilizer in compressed F block sample up to 5% inclusion showed superior performance in compressive strength, tensile strength, drip erosion tests, and also reduced absorption of water. And so it can therefore be concluded from the result that the pulverized rabbit dropping can be used as a soil stabilizer in compressed F block up to 5% inclusion. Beyond that, the sample showed reduced performance in the strength properties tested. Recommendations. A large-scale production of CEBs, where CEBs means compressed F blocks, stabilized with pulverized rabbit droppings, is recommended for low-cost construction. The pulverized rabbit droppings could be used up to 5% inclusion for improved strength and reduced water absorption in compressed F block. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tay. Another round of applause. We move on to Ebenezer Nyameche. Are you here? Okay.
Good afternoon to us all. I stand on the already existing protocols. I am Ebenezer Nyameche, and I'm excited to share my research with you today. The title is Organizational Ambidextrality and Green Performance. That's Environmental Dynamism Matters. That is what I'm going to look at. And this study is in line with SDG 12, which says responsible consumption and production. So this study is going to encourage firms to adopt to sustainable operation through innovation and efficiency. When we talk about ambidextrality, simple means that simultaneously using both hands equally. So when we're able to be innovative and efficient enough, then you become ambidextrous. That is what this study is all about. I want to ask a simple question before I go to the background study. I want to ask a simple question. Are we aware that Casaprecon some time ago launched eco-friendly button planting to reduce waste plastic in their industry? And the question is that, why is it that after launching all these things, they still keep on producing the old bottles that they are using in their production industry? So this is what we need to be asking ourselves. That a lot of people are talking about eco-friendly, we are talking about green environment, green production, and all those things. But why is it that yet we can't operationalize it very well? Even when we come to our institution, we talk about innovation, we talk about efficiency, we talk about skills, we talk about so many things. But the question is that, are we able to work hand in hand with innovation and efficiency enough? That is what this study is all about. So please quickly move to the background studies for me. Sorry. So the background study, I'm asking that many business in Ghana are now trying to be more environmental friendly, just as I started example with what Casapreco and other production companies. More business in Ghana want to be environmental friendly. But going to green is not just about following rules. Like if you want to go into a green environment or something about, it's not about just following rules or something like that. But it's about how practicable and innovative and efficiency we become. So past research has talked about being innovation or being green, but not much has been looked at how doing both together help the environment. So most studies have been talking about green environment, green whatever. But the question is that how are we going to integrate this in our production industry, just as the SDG 12 talked about? So the research questions for this study, or objective of this study, is to examine the effect of organizational pedestality on green performance. That is the first objective that I'm going to look at it. And to assess the influence of environmental dynamism on green performance. And to test whether environmental dynamism really moderates the relationship between organizational ambidexterity and that of what? Green performance. So that is what we are going to look at. And the question that I'm asking today is, how does organizational ambidexterity and green performance work? And then another one is to look at what is the effect of environmental dynamism on green performance. And does environmental dynamism moderate the effect of ambidexterity or organizational ambidexterity on green performance? So I will look at the methodology for these studies. And then this study, the data correction and source for this study was a total of 270 structured questionnaires were distributed in the Greater Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly. When we talk about Greater Kumasi, it's about comprises with Kwadasu Municipal, Asqua Municipal, Ofolukru Municipal, Asqualaman Tafo, and then the KMA itself. That is the Greater Kumasi Metropolitan. So that is how I collected the data from. And then I used structure equation model to assess. I used the structure equation model to assess the strength of the work. So validity response. 255 respondents were given out of the 270 that was distributed. And then 245 was in use. 249 was in use after screening of competency and outline. Respondents include mid to senior level decision makers from sectors such as manufacturing, service, and energy. So that is how we're able to correct the data from. And measurements were adopted from established scale. Ambidexterity was from Jason Netia 2006, and then green performance was from 2023, and environmental dynamism. So the structure or the questions were adopted. Limitation for the studies. Just as you know, every study has its own limitation, but this study limitation was cross-sectional design limits. Because that was some of the and self-reported data introducing potential for social split bias, and then difficulty in assessing decision makers. Sometimes the right people to get them, for them to respond. You go to some industries and they will ask you to see their secretary and all these things. So some of the challenges we found. And then the key findings for these studies. Organizational ambidexterity had a significant positive effect on green performance. So when we look at that first question that I asked, or the first hypothesis, yes, organizational ambidexterity, that's using exploitation and exploration, has a positive or significant effect on green performance. And then environmental dynamism also showed a positive impact on green performance. So environmental dynamism could be regulation, risk, and all those things that affect the environment. So that one also has a positive effect on green performance. But the biggest one was The mediating effect of environmental dynamism on the relationship between organizational pedestality and that of green performance was not statistically significant. And we'll get to know why it was not statistically significant. So structure equation model also showed positive or good faith, just as it was showing model faith indices was good faith enough for the studies. And then interaction plot shows that non-significant moderation effect of ED on the ED represent environmental dynamism on that of what? Organizational pedestality and green performance. So it was not enough. This was the interpretation of the findings. Just as I said, that you get to know why the mediating effect of environmental dynamism wasn't statistically significant. So the interpretation of the finding is that organizational pedestality significantly enhanced green performance, supporting the dynamic capability theory. So this study uses dynamic capability theories to assess how organizational pedestality perform on the green performance. And then it means that from that balance exploration, that is innovation, and exploitation, that is efficiency, are better positioned to active sustainability goal. And then environmental dynamism inadequate drives green strategy. So environmental dynamism alone on green performance was significantly was positively significant, but the mediating effect of environmental dynamism was not statistically significant. This indicates that vitality environment in Ghana may not necessarily enhance environmental dynamism. And we all know change of government, just as there was some point in time, there was government policy called one district, one factory. But as soon as the government changed, the policy, now no one knows about all those things. So these are some of the reasons why environmental dynamism is not statistically significant in our part of the world. But when we go to other parts of the world, it becomes statistically significant because they have a national policy, their regulatory rules and all those things are enough to support them. But here in our part of the world, these things are unstable due to so many factors. And then this study also aligned with pro studies. So they support work by some that on the strategic value of pedestality in achieving sustainability goal, and contextual insight about results also emphasize that need of context sensitive model in emerging economy, and institutional value also are some of the factors. So these are some of the things that make environmental dynamism not statistically significant. So to go to conclusion and recommendations, to conclude or let me go back to take away. So to take what we all have to do is that pedestality is a strategic necessity to transform innovation in our part of the world. Thank you.
Right, thank you. Let's give it to him again. All right. We are almost getting to the end of the presentations. Samuel Boadu. And then the last, who was supposed to have been the first, and now we'll present and then we start the discussion.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Please, Samuel Kwaku Boadu, PhD Mathematics Education, second year. I'm presenting on paper under review. Impact of teacher quality on mathematics achievement. I'm looking at the mediating role of interest, technology, and motivation. Though previous study have examined the impact of teacher quality on mathematics education. Example is Darlene Hammond, 2000, and also Alta Ita 2022 examine the impact of teacher quality on mathematics education. But the effect was, for the Alta was a positive impact, and then Hammond also make a positive significant effect of teacher quality and student mathematics achievement. Now, but the mediating role, or how teacher quality impacts mathematics education, was unexplored. So I found a gap on these 3 papers doing the literature review. Then I wanted to find how teacher quality will impact student achievement, whether they will mediate or moderate. But this time looking at the mediating effects. With this, I set up these objectives. And the first one, to determine the effect of teacher quality on student mathematics achievement. 2, to determine the mediating role of technology in the relationship between teacher quality and student mathematics achievement. And 3, to determine the mediating role of motivation in the relationship between teacher quality and mathematics achievement. And the last one is to determine the mediating role of interest in the relationship between teacher quality and student achievement. And these are the hypotheses and the equations involved. So the first hypothesis is that teacher quality has a direct positive effect on student mathematics achievement. Then the equation is there. Then second one, also to determine the mediating effect of the equation is that. The third one is to determine the mediation effect of motivation. And the fourth one also to determine the mediation effect of interest. And the equations are listed below. And these are the research questions which have been formulated to form the research hypothesis. And the methodology. So the study was conducted in Amstead here, Kumasi campus. The theoretical stand is epistemology. The research paradigm positivism. The approach is quantitative approach. And the design is descriptive. And then the population was 5,000 students. And with the help of your means formula, if you want to find it, n is equal to capital N over 1 plus NE square. With a 5% significance error, I came out together 370 students were deemed reliable for the study. And the techniques, I used 2 techniques. I used the stratified sample technique to group the students into various groups like mathematics, building, construction, home economics. And I used the simple random sampling to select so that each has a better way to select it. And the data collection instrument was structured questionnaire based on the 5-point Likert scale, and it was updated from Diamond ITA 2000, Body ITA 2024, and Alta ITA 2022. And the reliability was checked using Combras Alpha. According to Body ITA, the construct should deem reliable values of 0.7 and above. And then the validity was checked for the content, the construct, the convergent, and the discriminant validity. I will explain it later when I go to the analysis. And these are the key findings. So teacher quality has a direct positive effect on student mathematics achievement was not confirmed. So this contradicts with the previous study done by Hammond, Darlene, that is 2000. And then the technology was able to mediate the relationship between teacher quality and mathematics achievement. But this time it was full mediation rather than partial. And motivation was also fully mediated between the relation between teacher quality and mathematics achievement. And interest also make the same thing. And this is the conceptual framework. The dotted lines are the indirect effect. Other people also call it the mediating effect. And the deep lines are the direct effect. So from TQ to SMA, that is the first hypothesis. That's the direct effect. The H2, H3, and H4 are indirect effects. And these are the demographics of the study of the student who took male, female, for gender, the age is there, the level and the program of study. And this is the exploratory factor analysis, that is the EFA. It's due to identify the number of items that will be loaded in the right constructs. And based on the 10 questions each, the teacher quality have 4 items, then technology has 4, interest has 4, and then student mathematics achievement has also have 4, and then motivation has 3. And then according to Board ITA 2024, in order to know that they are loaded on the right construct, the KMO should be greater than 0.5, and then the total variance expense should be above 50%, and the determinant should not be 0, so that the test should be a positive rate defined. And there is the composite reliability, the average variance explained, and the complex alpha. So according to Alta ITA 2022, this the composite reliability should be greater than 0.7, and then the average variance explained should be greater than 0.5. If this is happening, then convergent validity is achieved. I've already said it. And this the complex alpha, it should be greater than 0.7 as indicated here. And this is the discriminant validity. According to Board ITA 2023, he said that the one bolded and underlined are the values. So if at the square root of the AV, so the lowest square root of the AVE should be greater than the higher correlation coefficient between the constructs. And the correlation between the constructs are deemed as asterisk. So if you check, the lowest AVE was 0.9, which was even greater than the highest correlation coefficient. Hence, discriminant validity is also achieved. And there is the CFA, that is confirmatory factor analysis. And with this, the fixed indices was also achieved. The TLI, the CFI, the P-close, all was achieved. And this is the structural model for the structural path. And this is the analysis based on the standard. So if you check, TQ to SMA was insignificant. Why? Because the p-value was greater than 0.5, and then the rest were less than 0.05, that is 5%, so it was positively defined, and the model fit is there. And there is the sober test. If you want to determine the impact, whether TQ mediate SMA, so I use the sober test, though you can use the structural equation model to calculate the indirect effect. So I did that. That was the A and B, the SFT, the estimate, the CR, the critical ratio, the SE is the standard error. So I calculate using the structural, from the structural equation model, the A times that indirect effect was greater than 5%, making it insignificant. And you can also use the sober test to check. And it should be compared with plus or minus 1.96. And when I checked, it was less than 1.96 as positive. So that make it mediation. But though the effect of teacher quality on student mathematics achievement was insignificant, this make it fully mediation. Because the impact for the mediation, you first find the impact from the independent variable to the mediator, positive, from the mediator to dependent, positive. But independent to dependent was negative. This make it full mediation. It means that without motivation, interest, and technology, there's no way that teacher quality can impact student mathematics achievement. So this is the analysis I did, and I've already explained it. Yes. And the conclusion was teacher quality has no direct effect, which contradicts with Harmon ITA study. And the results of the study suggest that teacher quality on student achievement can be mediated by interest, motivation, and technology. Though the mediating effect of these three was also making a positive impact on achievement. And these are the recommendations, and these are the limitations. The limited scope of the research focus on a single university, though is significant, but it cannot make a general conclusion since it was single university. And the cross-sectional nature of the data limit the causal relationship between it. So the absence of the longitudinal data. So at times, maybe with some years, you can also revisit the same data and check it. And these are the references. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The last person, Abdul Razak. All right. Whilst the last person presents, I want all those who presented come and have a seat. We'll be starting the discussion.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. And good afternoon. All protocol observed. I'm Abdul Razak Bawa Aransa. The topic under discussion this afternoon is the influence of facilitator-learner relationship on learners' academic motivation in Uthmania Senior High School at Old Tafo Municipality. The background to the study. As we are all aware, the shift from the teacher-centered curriculum to the what? Learner-centered curriculum. Building a good relationship between the facilitator and the learner has become so critical. Therefore, in order to build the learner's capabilities, self-knowledge, and lifelong learning, it is essential to build this relationship. As many literature review, like Berfi 2020 stated that positive teacher-student relationship in senior high school is significant to enhance student learning outcome. As this background answer the questions. Now, the purpose of the study. The purpose of this study is to investigate the impact of facilitator-learner relationship on learners' academic motivation, focusing on adaptive and effective strategies to improve the relationship within the unique context of Usmania Senior High School. As the school has its own code of ethics and social culture background, relationship with female students may become some methodology. A qualitative research design was adopted between the facilitators, which consists of 65 facilitators and 280 learners, with a scale of 1 to 5, meaning the first scale will be first strongly agree, second for agree, third disagree, third neutral, and fourth agree. And the fifth one is the strongly agree. And the learners have to use only 40 minutes to answer this questionnaire, observed by the facilitators. Limitation. The use of purposive sampling has limited the generality of this finding, and the reliance on the self-reported data has introduced biases. Also, the data does not explore the specific strategies or approaches used by instructors to foster positive relationship. The data relies on learners' self-reported perception, which may be subjective. Results and findings. The holistic development of learners represented by 30.0% of the instructors who believe the influence is very high recognize the impact of relationship on learners' overall development. 45.0% representing the majority of instructors thinking that the influence is high, indicating strong agreement on the significance of relationship for holistic development. 23.3% of the facilitators believe the influence is moderate. However, 1.7% representing the small percentage of facilitators believe the influence is low, as the majority and the rest are. Now, in conclusion, facilitators play a crucial role in supporting learners' emotional development, with most learners acknowledging the impact of their relationship with their facilitators. Positive relationship with facilitators improve learners' social development, with learners perceive facilitators as providing emotional support. Strong relationship with facilitators lead to improved academic performance, with significant majority of learners agreeing to or agreeing with the statement. On the conclusion, in conclusion, sorry. Recommendations. Facilitators should prioritize the building positive relationship with learners to enhance emotional development, social development, and academic performance. Schools should provide resources and training to support facilitators towards professional development in fostering positive relationship and maintaining professional boundaries. Facilitators should strive to tailor their teaching methods more frequently to meet learners' diverse needs. Schools should establish a clear support system for promoting healthy relationship between facilitators and learners. Schools should establish a clear guidelines and support system for maintaining professionalism boundaries with learners. Thank you.
Let's give a very loud applause for all the presenters. It is not always easy to stand before colleagues and senior colleagues and lecturers to make presentation. But it is what we are doing is dress rehearsal. One day you'll be defending your PhD thesis during the Viva, and this is how it's going to be. Okay, so that is a good presentation for all of you. Now we've gotten to where we want to interrogate whatever they have presented. As I said earlier, maybe you were not around, we are not here to butcher whatever they have done, but we are here to contribute to what they have done. So you critique and give positive or suggestive contributions so that they will better the work they have and then publish it. That is the essence of why we are here. So without much ado, this is how we are going to do it. They are here. You know the various presentations and the points you jot down. So you raise your hand and then you let us know the presentation that you want to talk to. They are all here. You give your question or suggestion, and then if they need to respond, they will respond. Can I get a mic? That will be amongst the audience. An extra mic. Okay. So, yeah, Prof. Labi. Okay. Prof wants to start. Relax. Prof is... Well, I know when I hear Prof, then your heart beats. No,
they shouldn't be afraid.
At all.
I'm actually going to congratulate all of them. Just as I started, I am not going to be critical with any of them particularly, but a general observation I'm going to make. So relax. Once again, congratulations for your boldness to stand before us here and present to us. That is enough. But as we are moving on, Prof said something. It is for your future. And some things that we have presented here, we need to comment on them so that we could do upon them in the future. I didn't enjoy the general slides that you people presented. I was discussing it with us with a colleague here. We could not see anything. You were just speaking to us but you were not following what you were putting out there. I don't know what was the major problem, whether they didn't give you the guidelines as to how the font size should be or whatever. But I am very aware that this was given to you. So I don't expect you to come and stand here. Virtually, we were not seeing anything. And I don't think you use even font size of 12 or something, which is the minimum requirement for maybe PowerPoint presentation. So you could do better. And this is where I want to encourage you that next time, let's stick to the format that we have been given and let's go by it. Because internationally, if you go and stand before any audience with this presentation and you say you are coming from Amstead, the question they will ask you is it a research institution? And that is my worry. So, Prof, I congratulate all of them. That is the starting point. Let's encourage them to do better next time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prof. Okay, I think I agree with Prof in terms of your slides. So you have to improve upon it. That's good. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
You mention your name. If I don't mention it.
Oh, that's no problem. So I'm Dr. Benjamin Danso from the Crops and Soil Science Department, Mampong. So I have questions for most of them. So first one is to Abdul Razak. I didn't really get the problem well. I want you to come out clearly what the problem is and why did you choose the Uthmania SHS? That is my question to you. To Tay Andrews, I want to know if different breeds of the rabbit, their waste, is it likely we'll have a different performance in the laterite? So we can look at that. Then to Bismarck, Degwesi, what Gen AI did you study? It was quite general. I want you to be very clear about that. And then who regulates the AI in Ghana here? Generally. Then to Samuel. No, they are noting them, so they will answer them. I'm giving everybody one question. Yes. There is this fear of mathematics. Per the conclusions you gave us, sounded as the teacher quality has no effect on mathematics achievement. But some of us are testament to the fact that we hated maths because of how the teachers were presenting them to us. So I want you to come clear with that conclusion. Then last, Daniel Amo. How does the CCW and then the PKS, how does it compare to the normal cement? And then where can we find the CCW easily? I'm a layman. Where can I find it? Thank you very much. Jen.
Thank you, Prof. The reason for selecting Usmania for this topic is, you know, Islamic schools, we have certain boundaries which normally break between the facilitator and the learner. I can give a scenario. I went to a class to teach whereby a lady who was asthmatic fell down, and the boys are afraid to what? To touch her because it's haram. So I was in and I told them, no, in this case it's not haram. You need to what? To save soul than what? To let her die. Fortunately, we were able to save the life of the lady. So these boundaries are sometimes making it difficult for facilitators to interact with their learners, more especially in a group size or in one-on-one interactions. That's the reason for selecting Usmania as for the case. Okay. Thank you.
Yes, I didn't get the question very well. Is it the question? Is it about is it breed or the weight? The breed of the rabbits,
Yes.
whether
It has
the-
an effect on it.
on the droppings.
Yes.
It is something I couldn't go into. But what I observed was that the rabbits were fed with different feed depending on where they were being reared. Some were fed on formulated feed, and their droppings were quite pale. Those that were fed on forage, pure forage, they were darker in color. That is all I could do about the rabbit droppings. But in terms of the breed, I couldn't go deep inside. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Specifically, I did not specify any specific AI that I study. I pick it in general. And also the regulation of AI, I think is under the Ministry of Communication and Digital Technology. Because even recently, the ministry signed an MOU with Google to train some youth who are interested in that field. Thank you.
Okay. Doc, thank you. From the literature review that I did, previous studies state that teacher quality has direct positive effects, and other studies also made insignificant effects. So I decided to look at why these things happen. So with a technology integration, motivation and interest, mediation effect of these things. Now, since the independent variable, that's the teacher quality, has effect on the mediating variables, and the mediating variables also have effect on the dependent variable, that is the mathematics achievement. Only that the independent, that is the teacher quality, has insignificant effect on this. It means that there is a bit full mediation. It means that without these three mediating variables, that's integration of technology, motivation and interest of the teacher, in addition to your quality, there's no way that you can impart a significant effect on the student's achievement. So this is a contribution to the study I made from the previous one. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Look, I think my question is how does the CCW and PKS compare to normal cement? That's okay. Thank you. And where can we get them? Okay. So in this study, I was trying to investigate into the alternative ways of coming out with or reducing the over-dependence of cement and coarse aggregate, especially granite. Now, granite is expensive, and aside that, we are destroying our environment because everywhere you go, if you drive through Aguna Road, Boahu, and other places, you will feel what I'm talking about. So the study is trying to come out with how we can reduce the overdependence of that. And also cement. Cement has become very expensive. In Ghana, all our construction is just concrete, solid buildings. If you go to other countries, the use of cement in construction is just about 20 to 30%, especially in the western part. Go to Canada and other places. They use lightweight materials other than these ones. So we are trying to reduce that. And then where can we get them? It's in abundance. If you go to, in fact, I obtained mine from Dompasi, Atonsu Dompasi here. Wherever in our Zongos or in our small communities, wherever they produce palm oil or palm kernel, that's local ajomo, those things. We find it there, and they just dispose it off. If you go to Javin Organisms, it's in there. It's there in tons, so they are available. The CC, the recovered calcium waste, or this one I obtained it from Ahonjo Kasi Road. You see the welders, they just throw it after they dispose. They throw it around. Unfortunately, the one I obtained from is working just few meters from the stream, and they just pour it there. So we can obtain it from these people, magazine and other places. They just dispose it anyhow, so they are available. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank
All right.
you very much.
I've been signaled that our time is up. Even though I can see many hands, even myself, I have a lot of notes here to suggest and interrogate, but time is not on our side. We have to end our session. We're supposed to end at 3:30 and it's already 3:50. So what we'll do is that we'll submit our questions to the planning committee, and then they will give it, if it's suggestions, let's give it to them to better their work. So let me give my remarks, but I'll just mention one or two of the things that I noted. For instance, the one who presented, Bismarck Tay, you presented on the AI, the experts system, the machine learning, and then neural network. The objectives that you gave, I was expecting that in your findings, conclusions, and recommendations, you will see exactly what those things were concluded on and how you gave your recommendations to capture them. But they were missing out. If you go back, you will see. You were not talking about them, but you were just talking about AI in general. Meanwhile, they were prominent in the objectives. Right. And then, Bano, you started talking about Gen AI, TOE. You were using terminologies that your audience may not be too familiar. What is Gen AI? You need to explain, you need to define, so that we understand what you are talking about right from the onset, then we can flow with you. So break whatever you want to communicate down to the level of your hearers. And then the objective somewhere you said mediated. I was expecting you to make mediating role, but you say mediated, so it means you are so sure that it has mediated, even though you are now checking the mediation, whether it mediates or even doesn't mediate. So these are some things that you have to, and then the topic, you didn't focus it in a specific area. I don't know whether you did the study on mathematics students or you did it on students in general. Oh, okay, then that's why the topic is generalized. Then also, Daniel Amon, in your results, when you started, you created, you made us aware of the gaps, where you showed us what Danso Eta has done and a number of people. But in the discussion of your results, you were not comparing them, to know whether your method or your formulation now is even better than the gaps that you identified. I wasn't seeing that much. Right, you were just doing the experimental and the control. Andrew Tay, okay, you are commented on your PowerPoint because I wasn't seeing at all. Ebenezer Nyamiche, I didn't get your research gap clearly. So look at it again and beef it up. And Samuel Du, you didn't mention your theoretical framework under which the whole work is hinged. And so this is also very important. These are but a few of the things that I noted. And I know audience also have a lot to contribute to what they have, but time is not permitting that. We will continue tomorrow. Thank you very much. Let's give it to them again. They have done very well. This is the essence of a conference. Conference is to build your confidence and also learn from how to present. And as you are sitting, you realize that then you see that it gives you some confidence. Next time, you know you can also come and then present whatever ideas or research findings that you have. On this note, I will say thank you very much, senior colleagues, also here to guide our students to present their work and also interrogate it. Thank you very much for being around. We appreciate it so much. Tomorrow, God willing, we will be continuing and we will be in the auditorium and other places to do same things. I wish you the best, and let's get as much as we can from this conference. Thank you. So, do we need closing prayer or something? There's a second. Oh, okay. I thought we are. Oh, I thought this is just for the day. Okay, then thank you. Please exit the podium. So I hand over to the next presentation, oral presentations. Anyway, I didn't introduce myself. I'm Professor Francis Ohinibuati. I'm at the Maths Department. I'm the Dean of Students, also acting as the Director of Quality Assurance, Planning and Accreditation. Thank you.
We could do it better. We could do it better. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We really appreciate your contribution and effort. On the bill, the next bill, we all have our presenters ready, and it's going to be chaired by the Dean of the Faculty of Business Education. We are fortunate that we have him here, else we have lost him. You know, we've lost one of our colleagues already. That's why we are in black. Many of you might have heard of the recent turbulence concerning the Passion Air. Prof, respectfully, just tell us a little about it. No, sorry. They were mid-air. Then all of a sudden, they started for a descent. And it was terrible. Terrible. You landed on the ground, but not at the airport. Or the plane just descended all of a sudden. And he said he could hear the passengers shout, Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. It's terrible. But he has been saved. So we are pleased to have him to chair our activity. Please welcome Professor Faisal Idris, the Dean of the Faculty of Business Education. Prof, so you get the mic and then you call your panelists. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prof. Dean. Vice Dean, Graduate School, our colleagues, lecturers, thank you, Vice Dean, Graduate School, our colleague lecturers, Professor Kufo, Prinjima, our faculty officer, Professor Labi, and others. And our dear participant and the audience, thank you very much for coming to grace this occasion for us. On the list, we have 6 presentations. So the first one is Emmanuel Tichi, followed by Eric Entry, Evelyn Eje, Frank Ahin, Isaac Adai, and Jonathan Amunu, and the rest. So, what? So we don't have much time. So we're going to start 10 minutes. You know the rules. After that, you assemble here, then we take questions from the audience. Thank you very much. So the first presenters, yes. What? Next. Okay, they presented already. Okay, so the next first one is Eric Entry. The first, yes, Emmanuel Techi. So Emmanuel Techi should come. Yes, Emmanuel Techi and the group. Emmanuel Techi, Prince Jima, Richard Dankwa. Emmanuel Techi, okay.
Good afternoon, Chair. Good afternoon, Zell Protocols. I'm Emmanuel Techi. I'm here to present on the topic accounting for sustainability. That's the governance puzzles in the manufacturing firms in Africa. In fact, whatever the level of economic growth and development, sustainability accounting is a topical issue affecting the nations of the world. In fact, this reflects on the sustainability development that was specified by this reflects on the sustainability development that was specified for both developed and the developing nations. SAP is an emerging field that advocates for the collection, the identification, the analysis and the reporting of relevant information relating to the environmental, the social, and the economical activities. So SAP here refers to the sustainability accounting practice, SAP in short. So corporate governance play a crucial role in maintaining sustainability accounting practices. There are so many studies that have been done in sustainability accounting practices, but most of these studies have been done in advanced countries that is having a robust or a strong governance structures. So empirical review or prior studies have documented that there are so many studies that corporate governance is a key driver to sustainability accounting practices. However, despite the significance of these mechanisms or studies, the adoption of sustainability accounting practice in Ghana will remain very limited. So this study highlights the importance of sustainability accounting practices. But surprisingly, most of this study has been done in both advanced countries. So this study is here to undertake how or to know how the level of implementation of sustainability accounting practice is in Ghana and how they are being implemented. So the objective is to assess the implementation level of sustainability accounting practice, to know how the internal corporate governance will influence the sustainability accounting practice, and the last one is to assess how the external corporate governance factors will influence the sustainability accounting practices. This study invokes stakeholder theories and legitimacy theory. The stakeholder theory is very important for this study because it will allow the companies to know that the activities of the organization should be done in the interest of people who have an interest within the organization, but not only the relevant shareholders. And the legitimacy theory is very important because most companies redress their activities to appear good in the eyes of the public or the community. So this theory explains that the organization should understand that it is their core mandate or their responsibilities to perform, or it is their norms to perform the activities that will help in the community activities. Empirical studies, there are so many studies that have been done on this study.
First of all, Oyewo research on sustainability accounting, specifically on the structural accounting department, and reviews that the structural accounting department has a positive impact on sustainability accounting practice. Other scholars also research on business strategies and also review that business strategies is having a significant impact on sustainability accounting practices. So here we have our consensual framework. So the framework is having the internal factors on one side and the external factors. So under this study, the internal government mechanisms are the information technology, the market orientation, the business strategy, and the structure of accounting departments in terms of the skills or the business. However, the external factors are the market competition and that of the perceived environmental uncertainties, all moving in line with the sustainability accounting practice. And before we can able to achieve the sustainability accounting practice, we have a certain sustainability accounting techniques that has to be conceptualized before we can able to achieve this target. And these are, we have the environmental management accounting, we have the activity-based costing, the life cycle costing, the customer accounting, and the consumer and that of the quality costing. We also have two control variables, the organizational size and that of the structure of accounting department. The study used 38-item questionnaire survey that was distributed to only senior finance officers. And it was a purposive study where only companies that have been in existence for more than 10 years were being selected. And also companies that were practicing sustainability reporting. Reliability and validity, we used Crowbatch Alpha, Kaiser, Meyer Hawkins, we use for exploratory factor analysis, we use confirmatory factor analysis, and that's of the Butler test to validate, to show how valid or reliability. Even though we use a validated measuring instrument from a prior studies. So we have these results. Like I said earlier on, the first objective is to assess the implementation level of sustainability accounting practices. So it uses a descriptive study. That is also an empirical study, so we use descriptive. So the results review that the implementation level of sustainability account practice is moderate. That's 3.6 on the 7-point Likert scale. We have the activity-based costing. So we can see that the activity-based costing is having a mean score of 3.94, followed by quality costing. This means that on the scale of on the 7-point Likert scale, we were able to record 3.94. That means it is an average level of implementation. So the standard deviation of 1.67 means how company deviate or how companies varies from one company to another in terms of implementing the sustainability accounting practices. The overall mean was derived by computing the total individual scores in order to get a composite score for further test. We also use a Bosphorus test. This Bosphorus, it shows how the usage range. So we can see for the Bosphorus that most of the usage range from 2 to 5. That means on the 7-point Likert scale, it's recorded an average user rate. Activity-based costing, competitive position, they are all having a usage range of 3.6 and lie between 2 and 5. Before embarking on this structure equation model, we conduct a Shapiro ring test to see if the data is normally distributed or non-parametric. So the results revealed that the data was not normally distributed, so we went ahead and used a small PLS. So this is the results of the smart PLS. The first one is the quality information technology. That we have the, in short, the TQI, the quality information technology. We have the market orientation. We have the structural accounting department in terms of their skills. We have the PEU as the perceived environmental uncertainties. We have the CFPT as the market competition. So the results review the three of the internal corporate governance factors reviewed a significant effect on the implementation level of sustainability accounting practices, whilst only one of the internal factors, like the market orientation, review at an insignificant implementation level. But for the external government factors, only market competition review a significant factor, whilst the perceived environmental uncertainties review an insignificant level.
Timer.
So this is the diagram of the structural equation model.
Thank you very much. Next is Eric Entry. So you have 10 minutes.
Good afternoon to all of us. Good afternoon, Prof. Chair. My name is Eric Enchi from the Department of English at the University of Cape Coast. I'm presenting on institutional identity construction through Vice Chancellor's Welcome Messages, a study of newly established public universities in Ghana, post-2019. Prof. Chair, before I begin, I would like to show you this picture to give my audience a clear idea of what I mean by welcome messages. The presentation outline will be as follows: the background, methodology, findings and discussions, conclusion, and recommendation. Since this is a multidisciplinary conference, I decided to break it down so we can all understand. What do I mean by identity? Identity is how we see ourselves and how others see us. There is a way we want to project ourselves to people. Even though you see yourself in a certain way, other people behind also see you in another way. In much the same way, universities, which are institutions, also form collective identities, a shared understanding of who we are as a university. So in short, I define institutional identity as how organizations such as universities define and present themselves. And here, it includes how they bring out their mission, their vision, their values to others. In Ghana, a number of public universities have been established. In fact, newly established universities from 2019 till today. And these institutions, being new, must work to establish credibility, visibility, so that stakeholders can also get themselves involved in that university. And one key site that we cannot miss is the Vice Chancellor's welcome message on the official website of the university, which usually have been taken for granted. So these tests are often overlooked, yet they serve a strategic function in shaping how the university is perceived. So this study examines how Vice Chancellors of newly established universities in Ghana construct institutional identity through welcome messages published on their official website. And the study employs the organizational identity theory by Albert and Witt in 1985, which stipulates that organizations define and express themselves as central, enduring, and distinctive from others. Now, this study employed a qualitative approach, and I'm sure, coming with my background from the Department of English, I'm sure you should know that a lot of my things should be qualitative. So it employed qualitative approach using a multiple case study design. It focused on public universities established through acts of parliament. And again, out of five public universities, only 3, CKT, UTAS, UESD, the CKT is the CKT Tandem. Then we have the University of Environment, Sustainable Development. We have UNIMAC. These 3 have the welcome messages on their official website. And they were purposely selected based on their availability of welcome messages. The data were analyzed using inductive thematic analysis. Now, Prof. Chair, the data revealed that the welcome messages were strategically crafted to construct multiple identities, thereby positioning the universities within a competitive and evolving higher education landscape. 3 predominant identities emerged: a research-oriented identity, a student-centered identity, and finally, a global or international identity. Now, from one of the data sets, CKT UTAS, line 3, it says, we offer a supportive environment to engage in cutting-edge research. We create knowledge through research for national development, and then pushing the frontiers of innovative research to help solve the numerous challenges the media, arts, and communication industry. The data again illustrates a shared construction of research identity, emphasizing such universities' dedication to knowledge creation and applied research. This perspective aligns with the prevalent view of the university as a hub of research. And this is in line with what Dubuando 2010 says. The Vice Chancellor's welcome message constructs another student-centered identity. Here they portray themselves as so much engaged in students' activities. And so CKT Utah says we are dedicated to the well-being and success of students, providing them with extraordinary experience and networks that allow them to grow and develop. We have UESD, it says we exist to produce students endowed with honesty, who take advantage of opportunities, who persevere and are enterprising. The last one says, we are here to support, cheer you on, and celebrate your success. So, dare to enter to learn, exit to achieve. Now, the last one, Vice Chancellor's welcome messages strategically incorporate references that align their respective institutions with the global academic standards. And so some examples from the data showed that CKT Utah says collaborations with some world-class universities and institutions, both home and abroad. UESD aspires to be global in its offering, structuring of programs, strong in international collaborations that will bring exciting opportunities for all of us. There was a notable finding in this study, and that was the fact that the data showed the emergence of a spiritual or faith-induced identity. We all, as usual, know that the university is a secular institution. And so the idea that this Vice Chancellor's welcome message says, we are making good strides because UUSD is tapping energy from the living God. In conclusion, the study concludes that Vice Chancellors of Ghana's newly established public universities construct research-oriented, student-centered, and globally engaged identities. Again, we saw that a faith-induced identity emerged. Additionally, Vice Chancellors' welcome messages, we now know, serve a strategic function, and so Vice Chancellors cannot miss this opportunity. So a recommendation was that their absence in other newly established universities should be looked at because it is a missed opportunity for visibility, for stakeholder engagement, and identity construction. Now, some references. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the wonderful presentation. Next presenter. Should I mention the names? You know the names already. It's Evelyn Ajay.
afternoon to everyone. My name is Evelyn Ejay, and I am a PhD candidate from Mathematics Education Department. I'm here to present on my manuscript titled The Moderating Role of Prior Mathematical Modeling Experience on Pre-Service Teachers' Self-Efficacy in Geometry Instruction, a Mixed Method Study in Ghana. Geometry is a branch of mathematics that enhances logical reasoning, problem solving, and real-world application. But students find it difficult because of the abstract nature of how the concepts are being presented to students. As a result, it demotivates students to even learn geometry. Research has shown that teachers who teach through mathematical modeling has high self-efficacy and use diverse strategies to boost students' motivation. Mathematical modeling, to a layman, we would say, is just an application of mathematical concepts in solving real-life problems. It's laid down 7 processes which involve first identifying the problem, making assumptions, formulating a model or a formula, and then solving or finding solution to the model, then interpreting the solution, then validating the model, and then finally, if needed, the model is being refined. From the literature review, many pre-service teachers lack modeling experiences, leading to low confidence in teaching geometry. Within the context of Ghana, there have been a lot of mathematical modeling, but in those contexts, they focus on modeling as a process, not as a pedagogy. So this study will look at modeling not as a process, but rather a pedagogy to be used in teaching geometry. Few has been done looking at the knowledge or the cognitive effect of mathematical modeling. And they leave the gap when those studies were done. They focused on the secondary level geometry. But with my study, I looked at the pre-service teachers who are being trained for the basic school. Therefore, the focus of my study is to examine how prior modeling experience influence pre-service teachers' self-efficacy in teaching basic school level geometry in Ghana. Findings from this study will guide tailored teacher training to enhance basic school geometry instruction through mathematical modeling. The research question guiding the study was how does pre-service teachers' prior experiences with mathematical modeling moderate the relationship between mathematical modeling instruction and their self-efficacy in teaching geometry at basic school level in Ghana. The design for the study was a mixed method convergent parallel design. Then 184 pre-service teachers and multi-stage sampling technique was used in selecting the participants. Both qualitative and quantitative data were collected, with the quantitative data questionnaire for both the pre and then the post were used, and then the reliability was tested for each of the constructs in the questionnaire, and the alpha values were between 0.84 and 0.94. With a qualitative semi-structured interview was used, and within that, the constructs were prior mathematical modeling experiences, perceived value of the intervention, and then self-efficacy of pre-service teachers in teaching geometry. With the analysis, the quantitative data, first I looked at testing the normality and then the homogeneity. Then the descriptive statistics was also done. Then with the inferential statistics, I looked at moderated regression, rank ANCOVA, Spearman correlation. Then the qualitative thematic analysis and to check the validity. Both data were triangulated. Ethical consideration was also looked at. Informed consents, anomaly, voluntary participation. The limitation of this study, first, data was only collected from the northern region of Ghana. As a result, may affect generalizing it to other regions. Then, both the qualitative and the quantitative data were all self-reported data. From the results, it came to bear that the data collected was not normal, and then the homogeneity was also violated. So as a result, the analysis was done using the non-parametric analysis. So the descriptive, the pre-intervention on self-efficacy was tested, and there wasn't much difference between the self-efficacy of the control and then the experimental group. By looking at the post-intervention, there was much improvement in both groups, but that of the experimental superseded that of the control group. So this graph pictorially explains the previous observations. Then coming to the inferential statistics, rank ANCOVA was done, and then from that we could see that there was a significant interaction between the groups and then the prior modeling experiences. Then correlation analysis was also done between the covariate and then the dependent variable to know the relationship between the two variables. And from that, there was a strong link between the prior modeling experiences and then post-intervention self-efficacy. G findings was also done. This was done to determine the effect of the intervention on the pre and then the post, different time intervals. So from the G, the intervention significantly increased self-efficacy, but this effect was moderated by prior modeling experiences, indicating teachers with previous exposure benefited most, while intervention effects alone were non-significant. So this is the table for the correlation. Then from the qualitative results, as this one is supporting or in line with what was found in the quantitative, both groups confuse modeling with physical models. Experimental group lacked formal exposure. Then the post, there was differences between the two, also being in line with the quantitative. Experimental group grasped modeling as real-world problem solving. Used tech in this case, I'm referring to the integration of GeoGebra, and reported higher confidence. Initially, they were having, or from the pre-intervention, their confidence was at 2, but at the post, they reported or they recorded 4.
Time is up.
Okay. So this is my findings and then implications and key take-homes. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the good presentation. Next, we call Frank Ahem. Frank Ahem. Is he absent? So that we can move to the next presenter. The next is Isaac Adai. Isaac Adai, okay. Then we'll go to the last presenter, Jonathan Amonu Davis.
Good afternoon. I'm Jonathan Amoni Davis, and I'll be presenting a paper I wrote with my colleagues titled Gen AI in Higher Education Assessment, Opportunities, Challenges, and Pathway to Equity in Achieving SDG 4. I hope you can hear me. Okay. From Ada College of Education. So, for background, now Gen AI, example like DeepSeek, ChatGPT, Gemini, and others have been seen to have bring some innovation in assessment. Now, apart from the innovations it comes with, it also comes with certain challenges which needs to be addressed. Now, this has prompted the need to balance the innovations that come with Gen AI in assessment in higher education, at the same time with ensuring that there's academic integrity. Now, this becomes complicated when there's the issue of SDG 4, which talks about ensuring equity in education, in proper education comes in. Now, our research or our paper looks at Gen AI's potential to support or hinder educational equity. Our methodology. The approach was a Prisma-guided scoping review, and we looked at papers or peer-reviewed papers between the year 2022 and 2024. This is because we noticed that ChatGPT came into being in November 2022. And after ChatGPT came into the picture, afterwards there have been multiple or thousands of AI in the system. So we looked at papers that had been written between 2022 and 2024. The inclusion criteria we used for our paper selection was peer-reviewed articles having keywords like Gen AI in assessment, equity considerations. Now, for our analysis approach, we did a thematic categorization where we looked at that for opportunities, that for challenges, and that for pathways to equity. Under opportunities, we talked about the theme automated grading and feedback. Now, for automated grading, we noticed that Gen AI is able to automate grading system. So, how to assess work from students like that of essay type questions can be fed to Gen AI. It will read through, so far as you give it a scoring guide and everything, it will read through, give you an objective analysis, and give you a grade to the paper. It therefore reduces workload for teachers. It can also bring about some form of objectivity when scoring essay type form of assessment. Then there is the theme of innovative assessment methods. Here, we notice that from our reading, Gen AI is able to bring about some form of innovation in the assessment procedure. For Gen AI, you can make use of virtual realities whereby it can mimic natural surroundings, natural areas which cannot be brought into the classroom. So less privileged societies can make use of it, try to mimic situations that could have been used that are not available. The third thing we talked about was about potential for equity. Now, as we leverage on Gen AI's ability to provide some form of assessment in terms of making use of virtual reality, it also brings about equity in the system. Things that less privileged society couldn't make use of in the assessment procedures, Gen AI is able to bring it into the classroom, and we can use it for assessing. Challenges of Gen AI in higher education assessment. Now here, we looked at three themes. We looked at academic integrity and cheating. We also looked at technological accessibility and the digital divide. Then lastly, ethical concerns. For academic integrity and cheating, since Gen AI is able to generate a full writer for an individual, we have the issue of students making use of it in generating full work without any input, and that is of concern. Then there is the issue of technology access and technology accessibility and the digital divide, whereby there's disparity with resource allocation. Hence, it becomes difficult for others to make use of Gen AI. Others are not privileged to have that. Even electricity is not available in some places. Technology like a simple laptop is not available everywhere, so getting access to the generative AI is difficult. Then there's a problem of ethical concerns, that is with surveillance and misinformation. Here we have the case of Gen AI producing some form of information that might not be right. We have issues of generative AIs hallucinating and bringing about certain information that actually does not exist. So that can misinform if people tend to make use of it and churn it out as research papers. There's the problem with individuals also their data being fished out or fetched by Gen AI and making use of it. Pathways to equity in achieving SDG 4. Now from our reading, it came to the fore that ensuring accessibility can help in achieving the SDGs. One way of ensuring accessibility is that certain facilities should be invested in. There should be deliberate effort to invest in the accessibility of Gen AI. Then there is the theme of comprehensive faculty training. That is also another theme that we looked into, where teachers who are responsible for making use of the Gen AI in the assessment process are to be trained to detect even when students make use of it without any input, like detection of write-ups that Gen AI is produced. For example, with ChatGPT, it can produce, when ChatGPT produces a write-up, you tend to notice that there are some M dashes in their write-up. So faculty members can be trained so that they can ensure that students make use of it and use it well. Developing inclusive policies and ethical education is also another theme we looked at. Now here, we read that in the African region that we are, it is only about 3 countries that have made policies guiding the use of Gen AI in education. Now Ghana can also come on board and make their own policy to guide them in their use of generative AI. Its conclusion. The scoping review examined Gen AI's impact on higher education assessment. It found some opportunities like automated feedback, innovation methods, potential equity gain, challenges like integrity, accessibility, and ethics. Thank you.
Thank you. And other presenters, please, can you come over? So we're now going to open the floor for some questions, suggestions, and some tips on how to improve their papers that they presented. So we're going to take the questions, then we allow them to answer. So the floor is now open. Are you to ask your first question? Okay. You were barred from the first session, but now I'll allow you to ask your question. From asking question, because we want to allow the student and then the audience. You are participants. Okay.
Thank you, Prof. Chair. My question is to the English presenter and mathematician lady. First to the English presenter. You said you relied only on internet. So I'm admonishing that you also try intranet. For some messages, some universities prefer that it stays inbound. If you have checked maybe for an intranet, you might have found that of Amstead. So for further development of your paper or what have you, search whether universities also use intranet for that purpose as well. There are some messages that they want to deliver it through the internet. Thank you. And you also created the impression that once you are coming from the English background, we should expect a qualitative analysis. It's not the case. Mathematics can even be more qualitatively delivered than even quantitatively. So it works in both ways. So my impression that I got was that it said, because you are strictly from English. I had a lady that was studying. She was also reading her PhD in English. She's a professor now in Lagos and elsewhere. But hers was on, I think, the voice, the throat, and the English language sort of. And it was more quantitative than qualitative, but it was purely PhD in English. So it's possible. That will thank you. Madam, in your case, the Spearman correlation model you used, what was it? Is it a parametric or non-parametric model?
Non-parametric.
Sure.
The raw data were ranked.
Okay.
Before the Spearman was done.
Right. But as a non-parametric, you know that it's also affected by ranking ties. And you didn't state that. Did you have any rankings ties where ranks are tied? You have about 20 persons maybe having the position of 8 or 9 and so on. Do you have some sort of data, or yours wasn't tied? So you have to work on that in your next presentation to let us know, because it performs badly when the rankings are tied, and then you have to go on and use another model. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dean.
Thank you. Please, I'm Dr. Daniel Japonimo from Department of Interdisciplinary Studies, Amstead. I must say that the presenters did well, but I have a question for Mr. Emmanuel Techi. In his presentation, he made mention of two theories, the stakeholder theory and then legitimate theory. You elaborated on that of the stakeholders theory. So I want you to share with us, how does the legitimate theory relate to your study? And the second question is, you said that you used already existing instrument. So I want to know whether the instrument was adapted or adopted, because you went ahead to run CFA, that is confirmatory factor analysis. So what informs that? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Doc. In fact, I use a validated instrument, and it was modified to fit into Ghanaian's context, because the questionnaires, the validated questionnaires or instruments, it was used in developed countries. So I have to modify to see if it will fit within the Ghanaian context. Yes. And the other question, on the theory, the legitimate theory. In fact, since it is about sustainability accounting practice, some of the companies, they perform the activities, even though it is their responsibility to go ahead and perform a social activities that will benefit the community under which they are working or they are performing the activities. So most companies, they just window dress their activities to appear that they are doing so many things in the eyes of the communities. Yes. And the legitimate theory is like doing things that move in line with the norms or the values of the community to which you are performing your business. So it's not always the case that you have to do things that will appear like you are doing things to serve as an advantage or a privilege for the community you are serving, but it's your core mandate or it's your responsibility that you have to perform.
Okay, thank you. Any other thing? Yes. Gender balance, yes. So then give it to the lady beside you to ask a question. Okay, go ahead.
I wanted to ask the one who presented about the Vice Chancellor's welcome address. I wanted to ask him, how did he ensure the interpretation of the data was trustworthy and not shaped by his own bias? And another question to the last presenter. I wanted to ask him, he was mentioning teams and all that. I wanted to ask, how did he come up with the teams? Was it from his own bias, his own judgments, or through a certain steps or procedures? Thank you.
Thank you very much. With the work with the Vice Chancellors, I was very much aware of the researchers' positionality. And so, because of that, before I gave out these findings, it was also given to another person who is a superior in the area of identity construction, who also vetted the data set. So it wasn't just made and then presented as you see. It went through some processes before presentation. Thank you.
You wanted to know the thematic analysis I did. It wasn't based on my own biases, but I did what we refer to as inductive thematic analysis, whereby you try to read through the papers that you have, various cross-cutting issues that are available. You make use of it as themes. That's it. Thank you.
Any other comments, suggestions? Okay, so since we are done from the audience, let me just give my general comment. So the first one, that's Emmanuel Techi. Yes, I think your conceptual framework is not clear, and I'm not sure who designed it for you. I mean, this is MPhil level, so you need to take your time to have it clearly designed so that to be able to carry the audience with you. And then issue about the theory were asked, and again, the audience were asking you how is the legitimate theory is in alignment with your work. So you need to go back and look at it and see how it fits your work. Then Eric Entry, you look at the institutional identity construction, and then my question is that your study is very unique. I must say that it's very unique, but I'm concerned about the source of data. This is a welcome message, have a page, about a page. Would that be enough to do extensive MPhil work? I don't know. So, I say paper, not MPhil work. Thesis, okay, just a paper, okay. Why don't you engage them in terms of data triangulation, you engage them to get additional data in addition to what you just, or you want to limit yourself to? Please give him the mic.
Yes, I looked at the fact that the first place where anybody at all, whether local or international, would want to find something about your university is the website.
Yes.
So the website is a place we shouldn't joke with.
Yes.
It's a place where we can sell the image of an institution.
Yes.
And so the person may not come straight to the vice chancellor to find out. So it is the duty of the vice chancellor to project, who is the principal spokesperson, to project the image of the institution out there. That is why I chose that particular message.
Yes, but then, anyway, I was thinking in terms of data triangulation, to make sure what they write there is what they actually implement. So you gather the data and then you compare to see. That will make your work more rigorous. It's just a suggestion though, but it's very, very good paper. I would like to read it. And then your theory, I couldn't see how the work contributes to your social identity theory. Is that what you use, social identity theory? Which theory do you use? Organizational identity theory. And you couldn't tell us how your work contributes to that theory because you stated emphatically in your work. So it's something you have to look at. If you want your paper to be published, especially being qualitative data, if it's able to contribute to theory, that will give high chances of getting the paper published. Next is Evelyn. You focus on mathematical modeling, experiences, and self-efficacy. Now, this is a PhD level work. And I was following the work. I can't see any theory supporting your concept because the self-efficacy is coming from a social science perspective, and I'm sure you've read about Bandura, his theory on social cognitive theory, and other frameworks, mathematical frameworks that can support your work. I don't know whether you just ignore it in this presentation or presentations. You have to bring it for us to follow your work. So, okay, then that is very good. So you need to use that to support your work, to enable you to be able to have the paper published in a very good journal. Then the last one is Ahin. You worked on scoping review. Jonathan, yes. So, yeah, it's good. I mean, it's alternative to systematic literature review that we are used to, but now the scoping review is coming up strongly. But I wonder the search or the keywords you used. Normally in systematic review or scoping review, you have to have alternative keywords. Yes.
Equity is one. Gen AI in assessment. Those are the ones I readily recall.
Okay.
Then after that, we did more of trying to find out the duplicates. We eliminated them, deleted them.
Yeah.
Then we tried to look at the year ranges. If it's between 2022 and 2024.
Yeah.
Then we include them. That was more of an inclusion criteria.
Yes. Yeah. So what if I write a paper and I use AI assisted assessment? Will your review capture my work? AI assisted assessment.
I believe so.
If you don't use it as part of your key terms, you might escape my work.
It's likely the Gen AI will capture it.
It's likely to capture
Yes.
it. Okay. Now, normally with the review, so just a suggestion, you need to have alternative keywords. Alternative keywords so that you don't miss any work within the scope you are looking at. Because from 2022 to 2024, it's just a short period, and you want to do a review. So if you have other keywords like authentic assessment, AI assessment, personalized assessment using AI and others, so it gives you broader search terms that you can get all the papers you are looking for to let you have a very good review. Yes, so your paper is very interesting. And then you mentioned AI started 2022.
AI started in
the large language models.
Well, the boom started in the 2020s. But AI started way back in the 1950s.
No, but the boom started in 2022, not 2020s, or? Like if you take large language model like ChatGPT, it was 2022, or?
Yeah, November 2022.
November 2022, that became popular.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Yes. So my general comment to conclude, as I follow the work, one thing that we have to be very take it into consideration is the use of theories in writing papers, because in writing thesis or papers, and if you don't have a strong theory, what you are telling us that you already know where you are going. But then when you have a theory that you understand and why you use it, it helps a lot. When you are asked, why are you using these theories? Go back to your conceptual framework and look at the variables in there. What is in alignment with any of the theories that you use? So if you use corporate governance, you use whatever concept, does it relate to the theories that will help you to be able to collect your data, analyze your data, and the rest? This is very, very important. And if you want to have paper published, as I said, you need to have a strong theory to guide you. So we need to spend some time to learn about that. Thank you very much, Dean and Vice Dean, Graduate School, Professor Adai, my colleagues. I'm done with my work, so I would like to hand over to you. Thank you very much. Yes, and again, let me pass on this. Recently, there was this a research paper that is circulating that academic fraud in Ghana, that is a fraud. That's why I'm asking you. One of the papers was published in 2021. The paper was finished in 2020, and it was published in 2021. During that time, large language models were not in existence. It started in 2022, and the paper was published in 2021. Now, there's this element of what you call retraction. At point in time, they retract some papers based on. So when you read that paper clearly, that document that is circulating on online media, I think it's character assassination by some people. But most of us have taken it. I heard Professor Ajay Banfu was saying that now the person who is behind that is trying to tarnish the image of that university because there's political infighting for positions. And people use that to bring some people down and destroy others. So that thing that is circulating is a false. The papers were retracted mistakenly by the journals and not, so the journals retracted it. No, sorry, it's the Springer. Springer is a database. They retracted, but not the journal. Because the journal gave the papers to reviewers, went through all the review process, and the paper was published. So whether the review was compromised or not, the authors don't know. The authors don't know if the review was compromised or not. But then, Springer as a database tried to retract that paper, and it's all over the country. So we also need to create this awareness. Retraction doesn't mean it's a fraud. If you know, Toyota has been recalling cars. Samsung, they recall mobile phones and a lot of companies. That doesn't mean that Toyota is a fraudulent company. Please, are you getting it? So as Ghanaians, we have to be very, very, very careful. We have to be very, very careful the way we destroy ourselves. Most of us have lived in Europe for 8 years, 10 years. We've done research, work with the white people. That is not how they destroy their people. But for we blacks, we always want to destroy for positions, for all those things. So as we grow in academia, we need to learn about some of these things and then also try to discard irrelevant information. So this is information I want to share with you. Because I heard that professor was saying it, that some of the papers was AI generated, which is false. But just I couldn't have the opportunity to, we don't have to destroy ourselves. I mean, so that is all I want to add. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Round of applause for Prof. It's been a long day. It's been a very long day. All right, so, but I think it's worth it. The insights and all that we've gone through today, it's really amazing and impactful. Tomorrow it continues unabated. We are meeting here, but we don't want to have such a long day tomorrow. So let's make sure that we come on time, and then we can put all things together and make sure that we can leave here a bit early. Prof, thank you very much for that clarity. Personally, I've seen that, and I was quite confused in a way. So tomorrow we're meeting here exactly 9:30. Sorry, the keynote speaker, that's the first address, will take off 9:30. So it means that we need to be here before 9. So 8, it's okay. So let's try as much as possible to be here by 8 a.m. so that we can have our first speaker. So we'll have the second panel discussion at 10:30. We go for snack break. We return for oral presentations at 12. And then we do the second oral presentation at 2. So hopefully by 3 we should be off from here. And we will have some awards presentation for the various categories: best published paper, best oral presenter, best poster presentation, among others. This year as well, I'm told we will have department that had the most submissions, as well as the authors that have the most submission as well. So
Let's make sure that we come on time tomorrow and then we can go through it. Distinguished guests, invited personalities, and various professors and faculty members, we are so grateful for your time with us today. It's been insightful. Those of us that are coming and following the path up to that high level of academic journey, we are learning so much, and we are really grateful for this opportunity. We want to see you tomorrow as well. Come support us and let's have a wonderful time here. At this point, let's take the closing prayer. I would want to welcome our brother Abdul Razak Bawa Aranza for the closing prayer. You see here? Okay, please, let's welcome him.
In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful, Ilahana, we've gathered in this hall for this long session under your protection and your guidance. May you guide us through back our homes and return back tomorrow and continue this session and have a successful conference. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, alhamdulillah rabbil alameen, ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, malik yawmiddin, iyaka na'budu, iyaka nasta'in, ihdina as-sirata al-mustaqim, صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. Amen.
Thank you and see you tomorrow.